Yo, this is WSoul13 bringing you Raid Shadow Legends. And today is a special day in Raid for me because I just finished Dark Bay 120 Hard Doom Tower. So check that out on the top right left corner. And that's the new avatar, I think. Actually, don't remember if that's... I think that is the avatar for the Dark Bay Doom Tower. But in any case, I finished it. So we're just going to do a recap. We're going to run through the bosses and the wave clear team and like what you expect to be able to do against Dark Bay. So this is probably my best Doom Tower hard Doom Tower finish because a lot of the secret rooms in Dark Bay Doom Tower is actually really doable on a budget, in my opinion. So it's kind of a coincidence or maybe like a joke that the bosses are so hard to do that you're going to be stuck in a lot of the floors here. But if you manage to break through, there's a good chance you'll be able to do that secret room. So we're not going to spend too much time on the secret rooms. We're going to be doing the wave clear themes first. So what I have been playing is the same wave clear theme that I've had for Eternal Dragon and Frostfighter. So how are you supposed to build a wave clear team for Hard Doom Tower, right? So you need a combination of control and carry elements, including stat mitigating skills and abilities, right? So an aura would be great. Speed aura is great. Accuracy aura is great. And then you need a win condition. So for the most part, my win condition actually has been Dragstar Blood Twin. So I'll show you what that team looks like and we'll do a quick sample run just to show you the kind of team that can get you up here to floor 100-ish. So, alright, so let's do that. Let's take everybody off. Let's take my face off for a second. Alright, everyone's coming off and we're going to go to Dragstar, Vizix, and Seal of the Drakes. Okay. So in general, this is what I've been calling the F2P low spender legendary trinity, or the legendary F2P trinity, however you want to phrase that. It's basically like the upgraded version of my F2P trinity concept, which is at the start of the game you're supposed to do Haikatoon, Kale, or Starter, War Maiden. Those are going to be your like first three champs that you're going to be focused on, and then you're going to be supplementing with things that can get you through the waves. So good example of this. So let's put a couple of fusion champs in here, Brago and Vergumkar, right? So I'm not actually sure if we can get through Lord Shazar with this team, but it's more of the concept really than actually breaking through the stage, because I already know this wave clear team is good enough to get you to floor 100, just not good enough to get you to floor 120. All right, so we're gonna be looking at how the team works on auto. So this is mostly an auto comp. What you're doing is you want to stack as much control elements like that and carry elements like Seal of the Drakes, and then keep your win condition alive, which is going to be Dragstar Blood Twin. And what you're hoping for here is just to slowly whittle down the waves until you win. So for the most part, when you first like foray into Hard Doom Tower, and if you're following my gameplay videos and my strategy overall of like trying to diamond hand your shards for fusion events and guaranteed champ events, you're thinking, okay, so I'm like 6 months in, 8 months in, 9 months in the game, and I'm not really progressing in Hard Doom Tower. So why is that? And I think the reason why is because you're not focusing on these three champs, which is Dragstar, Vizix, and Seal of the Drakes. So they all three of them have control, which is Provoke on Dragstar and Vizix AoE, and then AoE stun on Syl. Syl can heal and revive. Syl also puts decreased speed on, which is great, but Vizix puts AoE decreased speed on, which is even better. Dragstar has the all-important plus 70 accuracy aura. So once you get the hard Doom Tower, the first thing that's going to jump out to you as a person that may have finished normal 120 is that you might be able to go through all the way up to maybe hard Doom Tower 40 with your same comps that got you through to normal 120. Like, though that can be scalable up to maybe 40. But once you get past 40, it starts to get really hard in terms of just the raw stat requirements you need to get through the waves. So one of the cool things about having Dragstar on your team is you get a plus 70 accuracy aura, which means you can focus on things like speed in your build, which speed is the need when you play comps like this. So if you want to see this particular comp's stats, because I've had to change the stats up a little bit for Dark Fey in particular. This comp is locked into, I believe, is it floor 100? I think floor 100 hard is the title of the video. So Doom Tower floor 100 hard on this channel. So just type that up. WSoul 13 hard Doom Tower floor 100. You should find this comp there, and it should have the stats to the comp, right? So that would be like good stats to go for when you try to go after a comp like this. But in general, you want to build HP. You want to build over 200 speed. It doesn't need to be 250 yet, right? Once you get up to over 100, that's when you'll need at least one dude over 250. All right. So I'm going to show you right now how that works of the one dude with over 250 speed. Let's replay the same wave. Oh man, I hate that that's an error now. It's so hard to keep repeating stuff now because of that error. I don't know how to get rid of it. All right, so let's go back to the Doom Tower, right? So now we're gonna go through Doom Tower using the team that I used to beat it, right? Which is very similar. So if you want to see like the classic version of this team, the one with like, I believe the barest minimum stats you'll need to break through hard Doom Tower, you have to look at my Magma Dragon 110 video, Frostspider 120, Eternal Dragon 120, and I think it was Nether Spider 110. Yeah. Which is the past two Doom Tower iterations. Those will have the complete stats of the same team that is capable of busting through to floor 119 of those two versions of Doom Tower. This version of Doom Tower is a little bit harder, which is why I had to redo my stats, and their stats are a lot different now. So we're going to go through the stats, but first we're going to go through the team. So what exactly is the team trying to accomplish? Well, I'll show you right now. So the team is trying to snowball into a Seer AoE nuke with her enemy max HP damage and then ripping off all the buffs. So that's what we're trying to do right there. Boom. Once we hit that stage, okay. So the reason why the older versions of this build work really, really good is because my Seer there didn't hit as hard. So what ended up happening is they'd have a little bit of HP left, and it'll allow me to cycle through to repeat again for this wave, right? So it kind of messes it up a little bit that I've tuned them to be a little bit more efficient. But at the same time, they have enough speed and carry elements to practically break through eventually, right? So it's not guaranteed to happen. It's not like the Kaimar comps where you go, okay, buff, 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 Seer explode, Kaimar reset. You know, it's not like that at all. It's a lot more grindy, but you have a way through, which is going to be Seer. So most of the waves I did through this Seer comp, I think is there a Torment wave here? Is it 104? I know there's a Torment wave somewhere here. And for that particular Torment wave, I used somebody different. I used a different team. I should have taken notes. Which floor has Torment in it? Seven. $108, is it? Oh, this is it. There we go. All right. So against Torment, you'll need Cleanse. There's no way around that, because most of the teams that you're going to be bringing up the Doom Tower, especially if you're like a F2P low spender, more grindy type player, is you're going to be leaning on your buffs to get through. And Torment shuts down the buffs by putting up a lot of freezes. So you could go high res. So I know a lot of content creators would be like, well, just run a high res team. Building a high res team is hard. It's truly one of the hardest things to do in Raid. It's not impossible. It's just hard, which is why, at the segue into the current Fusion champ, Nari the Lucky might be one of the best Doom Tower champs they've given out for the F2P low spender community. Why? It's because Nari allows you to build a high res comp. Because Nari puts out the AoE decrease accuracy. It doesn't mean it's just Nari, because there are other people that can do AoE decrease accuracy. It's not that he combines the AoE decrease accuracy with AoE decrease res. So not only is he buffing up your resistance, he's also buffing up your accuracy, like through debuffs, which is great. It works really good in a control type team like this that I'm trying to do. But for this particular Doom Tower, what I did was, I had Dragstar as my win condition, so I took Seer out because Seer was too reliant on the buffs, and I couldn't get her to go off because everybody would be frozen all the time. And then my cleanser was Doom Priest. So for a lot of people, Doom Priest is like the top tier cleanser for Doom Tower. It could be anybody else, honestly, with a cleanse, because you could put them on Reflex set, or I have Doom Priest on Relentless set, and basically kind of get the same effect. It's not going to be exactly the same effect, but it's going to be pretty close to the effect that you want Doom Priest to do. And the freezes doesn't really go on as often as you'd think. So there is a very good chance that you can just RNG through this. Okay. And then I think the hardest floor here has got to be the triple Sippy floor, right? So we're just going to go through it real quick, and I'm just going to tell you right now that I wasn't able to clear this in one go. Took me a lot of goes to clear this, all right? And what I'm looking for here is a clean sweep from Seer of at least one of the Sippies. If I can get rid of one of the Sippies and get the other one down low enough that my other 4 champs can finish them off, I could use this time to refresh for the next wave, right? So that's how I clear this wave, is with Seer. Now, so the other traditional way to clear this wave would be somebody like Inquisitor Shamel. I do have Inquisitor Shamel, but I didn't try it. And it's probably possible if I have the right gear on Inquisitor Shamel. My Inquisitor Shamel, I feel like it's too slow or doesn't hit hard enough. But I just don't have the right setup to get Inquisitor Shamel through. I think this same setup could probably get Inquisitor Shamel through. It's just that second Siffy, man, we're gonna have to get her down. And Lydia might be required for this wave, just to clear this wave, just to get through this double Sippy. I feel like Lydia might be required, because if you do have a single target nuker, you can kill that Sippy, and then the other Sippy will try to revive, and then Lydia's going to block that revive, which will buy you time to cycle through and hopefully kill that second CP. So definitely that floor was pretty hard, all right? So I don't blame anybody if they feel like, oh, well, that was too hard. How did you do it? Well, I did it through sheer determination and RNG, right? So we've done the wave clear. Now we're going to check the stats for the wave clear comp, right? So, reminder, if you want the barest minimum wave clear stats, you want to check out my older Hard Doom Tower videos, which is Magma Dragon, Nether Spider, Frost Spider, and Eternal Dragon. So those are 110, 110, 120, 120, right? And the reason why is because the stats I had on those comps was way lower than the stats I have now. They're still pretty high because it's Doom Tower, yo. There's no way around that, right? But trust me, if you saw those stats, you'd be like, oh my god, how did you get this through our Doom Tower? Like I said, RNG, lots of stat mitigation, which Lady Kimmy brings, admittedly, right? So that's... Lady Kimmy was one of the best guaranteed Legos they gave out, honestly, because it just opens up so many comps for people that normally would not have access to these comps. Because Lady Kimmy, you know, it's hard to get a specific legendary of anything. So Lady Kimmy does open up a lot of comps, right? So Physics, what are you looking for here? You're looking for a lot of depth, a lot of HP, right? So 50k is kind of standard. You probably want it a little bit closer to 60k. So that might be a little bit low. Defense, 3.5k is kind of standard. You want to go a little bit higher than that if you can. Speed, you really do want her hitting over 250. So this one's a little bit slow. I had to re-gear her a little bit because I needed a little bit more, is it speed or accuracy? So the other thing too with those CP waves that needs to be said now is that I couldn't cheat my way through it. What do I mean by that? I couldn't cheat my way through it with my old version of my build, which I use the increased accuracy buff from Lady Kimmy to get through my accuracy problems, and then Lady Kimmy's speed auras to get through my speed problems. It just wasn't doing it because there were too many resists, and I needed to get the accuracy up. And this is why the Physics I have now has a lot better accuracy. So you need, I think, 340 or 350 is the magic number here for accuracy. So that's why it's a little bit slower, but the accuracy is a little bit better. And then for Masteries, okay. So traditionally, how I build Masteries for Physics and my other control champs would be, I want to end in Fearsome Presence, all right? So I'm usually doing support and defense tree. I don't do the offense tree, but there's a very specific reason why I did offense tree for this one, all right? So spoiler alert, this same team is the team that got me through Dark Fae. So yeah. And the reason why I had to bump them up the War Master and is because I couldn't deal enough damage in floor 120 to get through. So the old build I had with a little bit of a faster seer was able to get through 80 and 40, which is pretty nuts. But yeah, we're gonna look at those bosses later. I just want to run through the stats real quick. So there's Physics, Still of the Drakes is on Relentless set, and these are stats. So Still of the Drakes is pretty good, you know, like as far as being able to carry your team through waves and stuff, she's just so good. Plus, I built her a little bit tanky, a little bit fast, but not too fast, not too tanky, and not enough accuracy for most players that are truly endgame and have truly spent a lot of time in this game putting together the amazing gear that they have. And props for them, kudos for them. I just don't have that gear level in my account to gear my sellout to be like 50k HP, 3.5, 4,000 depth, 250 speed, 350 accuracy. You know, it's just not, it's not there. So this is the best my gear can come up with, especially on Relentless set. So it's a lot harder to gear anybody in Relentless set, especially if you're F2P or low spender. But that's just the reality. I think she isn't fully, is she fully booked? Yeah, she's fully booked, yeah. So I think all these guys are fully booked. I'll show you. Except, no, I think everyone is fully booked. All right. So these are great masteries, I think, for a Still of the Drakes built this way. So this is really nice to have, Harvest Despair, because it puts leech outs in the waves, gets you a little bit more healing. Of course, Cycle of Revenge and Retribution are great. What you're really looking for is Life Drinker to help you heal up, and War Master, obviously, to deal damage, right? It's a pretty standard, like, boss killer type Syl build. I mean, you could go support, but in my opinion, I think, especially for Hard Doom Tower, if you don't really need the support tree, you want to go on the defense tree, just to last longer in the waves, deal with all those guys that are coming at you pretty hard, you know? Alright, so who else are we missing? We're missing Dragstar and Lydia. And then we want Doom Priest out as well. We're just going to take a look at these guys real quick. Let's not do Dragstar yet, because Dragstar is kind of like a special champ that you only bring out for a specific reason, right? So Lady Kimmy right here. Lady Kimmy is a bit of a anomaly, to be honest. So why is her speed so high? You're probably wondering, like, okay, why is her speed so high? She's not supposed to be this high. So the way I built them was that Visix is supposed to be the fastest, and then Visix will put out the decreased speed, and then Lady Kimmy follows up and tries to do the Lady Kimmy thing, which is AoE decrease, turn meter, and then, you know, taking buffs away and putting buffs on your team and all that. All the wonderful things Lady Kimmy does, we all know and love. The problem was I didn't have a Dark Fae 120 team. So I had to outfit this Lady Kimmy to beat Dark Fae 120. So this is what I came up with, which is still kind of like wave clear good. You've seen it, right, in my little demo for my wave clear. It's still good for the wave clear. But it's definitely way off the minimum stats I had from my previous Hard Doom Tower runs. So that's just how hard it is to bring up to beat Dark Fae in Doom Tower. It's pretty hard, honestly. And I think she's fully booked. Is she fully booked? Yes, she is. Definitely worth fully booking, in my opinion. Stun set is kind of like standard for Lady Kimmy, especially if you're using her for Hard Doom Tower. And then my old builds ended in Fearsome Presence instead of War Master, but I needed damage for Dark Fae, that's why Lady Kimmy is on War Master. And again, I have the Harvest Despair combo. So this is a kind of like a niche combo that only happens with Lady Kimmy, I guess, which is her passive. Oh, let me take my face out of the way. So her passive puts a 5% turn meter reduction for each debuff placed. So when you're doing Spirit Flux, not Spirit Flux, Flurry of Petals, you're putting on decreased accuracy, decreased speed, and with a stun set you can put stun on, and then with Harvest Despair you can put Leech on, so you can have up to 4 times 5 is 20, plus, what is this, 15% here, so it's a 35 turn meter decrease across the board. For whoever gets those max 4 debuffs that you can put on with. So you know, it's kind of like a really fun, really niche thing that Lady Kimmy can do with Harvest Despair. And then, so we've done Lady Kimmy. Can we do Seer now? Or let's do Lydia first. We'll do Seer last. So Lydia is your Faction Wars trophy, right? So how good is Lydia? Lydia is amazing. Like, she just does so many things. If you can squeeze her into your Torment wave team, she prevents the Torment from reviving. You know, she's also really good in Dark Fae. In the comp that I did, even though she could kind of like go against your team, because she kind of brings a wrinkle to the Dark Fae run, because she can block your revive and then revive the opposite team. But you know, it's just a matter of managing the run to where only Seer is the one being copied by Dark Fae, and then you kill the Seer over and over again, so you don't have to revive. And when you do have to revive, hopefully it's just Lydia that's active when she comes back to life. And then once you take that copy out, that same copy won't spawn again, which means the cooldowns would have run off. So every time Dark Fae spawns a mirror, the cooldowns reset on that mirror. But the same mirror that already been died from the first part of the run, that mirror's cooldown stays fixed. So long story short, there's a way around the block revive ability passive that Lydia brings. So one good upgrade here would be to put Lydia on shield set, to be honest. That could be something that I could do. It's just that I have to double down on the control elements because my past teams would take like hundreds of turns to get through a single floor, you know. So the more turns I had to take, the more control I had to put out. So putting her on sunset, which is great because she had the AoE, and then she would do the counter attacks with her A1, put some stuns out. It's really, really good. And then I do have her on War Master because I do use her in dungeons. I think my first version of Lydia had her on Fearsome Presence, but you know, I put her on War Master. It still works pretty much the same. And she's one of those champs that you would want to get both Laughing Gifts and Master Hexer on, right? So those are both great. I think that's it. Lydia is amazing. She's great for everywhere in the game. We all know that. So let's go to Seer. And then we'll go to Doom Priest and Dragstar. So Seer faced a serious upgrade here when I did Seer. So you'll notice her crit damage is really low, 200, right? I had that a little bit higher, I think 230 or 240 in my previous builds, but the speed was so low. So that's kind of like one of the crazy parts of my hard Doom Power builds was that Seer was so slow. She was like 115, 112 speed, something crazy. And she had accuracy, but you know, I was mostly relying on the Lady Kimmy's increased accuracy buff to strip the buffs off the waves and stuff. But I had to have her over 170 speed so she could actually take a turn in the Dark Fae fights, even starting at floor 40. So yeah, unfortunately I had to break that super budget Seer build because I needed her to take a turn before she got stolen by Dark Fae. And then Masteries, I mean, it's pretty standard. Seer Masteries, the only difference is instead of Flawless Execution, right? I ended up picking War Master because it's better against Dark Fae. War Master is way better against Dark Fae. And then this is a pretty standard support tree that you can use on Seer because you do want all these offensive bonuses that you can get. And that's pretty much it. She did her part and she helped me beat Dark Fae with War Master on. I honestly don't know if I'm going to switch it back out to Flawless Execution. Maybe. We'll see. But as of right now, there's not really a pressing need for me to do it, so I'll just keep it like that. And then Doom Priest. So Doom Priest, I have her going pretty fast, 250. I wanted her to go over 250, like faster than my fastest guy on my team, just so she would go off first before the Torment, right? But unfortunately, I ran out of speed blip, so it didn't quite work out that way, but I still got through because she's on Relentless and she's fast enough and she can like cycle back into her skills. You don't really need anything else on her. Like resist would be great, so I did try to build her 300 resist. I didn't quite make it to 300 resist. I wanted to get her to like 350 resist, honestly. I just didn't quite make it. So it's a work in progress. I could probably get a little bit more resist on her over time and keep the speed and HP up the same. And then the Masteries, really, you want her on War Master so she does something. I mean, you could build her to where she ends up, I think, is it this one? Unshakable plus 50 res right there. So I could actually build her like that if I wanted to. And I could do without the support tree probably if I wanted to keep War Master. The support tree is great though because you get extra healing and then you get extra stats. That's basically it. So it's like Doom Priest is really good for what she is. All you really need her to do is put her on something like Relentless set. She can take a lot of turns and just heal and take debuffs away. And then make sure that she just survives. Dragstar, I have him on Regen Immortal set. Not really as a solo champ, but just so he survives long enough because he's going to be taking some provoke damage. And then he's going to be putting out the burns, which is going to be the win condition for your early versions of Doom Tower. I did fully book him. You don't need fully book him, honestly, for the version of Doom Tower you wanted to do, the floor 100 version of the same comp. And then these are the Masteries. I think I had him on defense tree before and support, but I realized how many times I actually use him in boss fights, so I had to switch him up to War Master. You really do want War Master in boss fights, so he just comes in handy in so many boss fights, which we're gonna go through. All right. Does that take care of the wave clear? I think that takes care of the wave clear comp. So now we're gonna run through the bosses real quick. So. All right. I know it's going to feel like it's back and forth, but it's going to be easier for you to index this later on when you're trying to go through the specific portion of the Doom Tower video that's going to help you. How did I beat Bommal? So I have two ways to beat Bommal. One was with Burangiri solo, which you can put all the way up to, I think hard 50 is possible with Burangiri. Yeah, I was able to do hard 50. So the advantage of doing it that way for me was that I could put it on auto. So I didn't have to manual through, right? So same thing here, Burangiri solo. What about 90 though? So that's the big question. The big question is 90, how do you beat 90? Okay, so this is how you beat 90. You beat 90 with Templar. So Cold Brew did do a very, very useful, although maybe I missed some stuff because there was definitely some key points that I didn't quite get from that video that I had to work out on my own. Maybe I missed it when I watched it. But Templar is capable of soloing Bommal hard 90. So that would be the main reason to go for him, even if you're just doing normal Doom Tower 120 for Dark Bay, because the same build can solo those same Bommal champs, obviously at a much lower speed. The crazy part of doing the Bommal 90 build is the speed. So I think the raw speed you need is 260. Is it 260? 260 or 270? So it's a really high number, and you'll need a speed aura. So I have mine at I think 240 with a plus 30. Is it a plus 30 on Lady Kimmy? I think Lady Kimmy gives me plus 30. Yeah, plus 30%. So that's enough to get me through the threshold. I think 270 might be the threshold. 270 or 2... No, it's probably 260. It is 260 because the speed lead he used was, I believe the speed stats was 240 and then 24% speed aura from Ursala. So we're going to take a look at our boy Templar, right? So why would you want to build a Templar in the first place? Well, this is the reason why. The reason why is Templar is capable of beating Bommal hard 90. Unfortunately, you're going to have to come up with these monster stats. 70k HP, 3000 depth, 240 speed with a speed aura and triggering Whirlwind of Death. Right, so you've seen those stats. You don't need any other stats. Books. This is the key. I think this is the key that Cold Brew may have left out or just said in passing, but I'm going to emphasize this. Do not book him out at all. 0 books. You don't ever want this decreased speed to land. Once the decreased speed lands, it ruins the rotation, and you could probably stave it off for maybe 2-3 rounds, right? But at some point, the key of the Templar solo is that you have block damage on from taunt, right here, while the ad bombs go off, and also the bomb debuff that Bommal puts on you goes off as well. So you're going to be able to stave off 3 separate bomb triggers, right? From the 2 ads and then from the bomb debuff on yourself. Once you put a decreased speed on and you already have it tuned to where it goes off in that order, what ends up happening is Bommal ends up hitting you while you have the bomb debuff on, which means it's going to decrease the bomb debuff timer potentially, and then trigger an extra bomb, and then it might be hard to recover from that. So really, the reason why you want him fast is because you want to be able to recover from the hits with your regen set. So Life Drinker, I think Life Drinker is very good here because it just gives you a little bit more extra healing, and then it combines with War Master. We already know that works. And then you really want to take all of these for support tree. This exact support tree line here is the one you want to take. You want to end with Spirit Haste, so you get an extra plus 24 speed, and then you want to kill 3 enemies, which will give you a plus 18 speed from Whirlwind of Death along the way. So you just need the wave clear that way, and then the run is going to be on manual, unfortunately. It's going to take you about 20 minutes the manual through, and there is a pretty sizable failure rate, so you're going to end up probably doing it maybe anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, I think, if you have the stats correctly. And you're just praying you don't land decreased speed. So you want this accuracy definitely not above 200 for your accuracy, right? So that's Templar. You know what? Since I showed Burangiri there, let's show him right now, just so you know what it takes to get through the level 50 solo. It's definitely not easy to build Burangiri this way. So it's gonna be built like other solo champs: high HP, high speed, and regen set, immortal set. So you want over 200 speed, 74k HP, 3,200 def, probably higher, maybe 3,500 def if you can, and that's it. So if you can get that speed, def, and HP right, there's still a failure rate at 50, but there is a chance that you can solo 50 with this build. All right, so I think that pretty much covers most of it, right? So you already understand how I beat Dark Fae. We're going to go through Scarab King. So for Scarab King, it's practically the same team I always run for Scarab King, right? I did a few tweaks. So if you can look it up on my channel, I have a Apothecary solo video for Scarab King 50, I think. So Apothecary is capable of soloing, I think, Scarab King 50 with a Blood Shield amulet. Which is pretty cool. And then, of course, it's a Vergis solo. I think the only thing you have to look out for here is that you don't enjoy the negative affinity from the other version of Scarab King. I think the other version of Scarab King is Force, if I'm not mistaken. So actually partnering him with a solo Apothecary here really did help. As long as you turn off Apothecary speed boost, it should really help you stay alive and get through the fight. And that's what I did. It's a Vergis Apothecary duo, not really a solo, but you know, it's a Vergis solo. I mean, Apothecary is basically just an extra hand there. So for Celestial Griffin, the main change I made to this from my other Celestial Griffin video, you'll find it on my channel, is that I put Geomancer in place of Iron Brago. So Iron Brago was kind of like, just gives me extra defense on a passive. So that means the buff removal doesn't take the defense bonus away. And then he hits pretty hard, you know. So I needed damage mitigation. Iron Brago fit the bill. Problem was, against this version of Celestial Griffin 110. So 110 bosses are really hard because they scale up incredibly with their stats. And you want to take advantage of negative affinity if you can. So for this particular version of the same team, it's practically the same team. I just took Iron Brago out and I put Geomancer in. It's the negative affinity for, positive affinity for Celestial Griffin, right? And this gives me just a little bit more staying power, a little bit more firepower, you know. And you're going to have to manual through, probably. It's not going to be on auto like my other build because you really do want Geomancer to stick that burn on the Celestial Griffin in between the turns where he transferred the debuffs to you. So I think that practically covers everything. For Dark Fae, it's the same comp as the earlier Wave Clear guys. So, what is the moral of the story here? I think the moral of the story here is that we shouldn't be locked into cookie cutter ways of thinking about the game, right? So one of the big innovations I have here, I think, is that most of the time, so let's go through best teams and just compare it with like how my other guys got through. So most of the time, what people do is they build a team specifically for Dark Fate. Like you take some of the gear off and you try to keep the turn meter down, like this double allure team right here. So if you don't have allure, it's extremely hard to keep Dark Fate's turn meter down. So my build is closer to the top guy in my clan, but he took way less turns than me, which means his guys deal a lot more damage than my guys, which is understandable. Like I said, my gear is nowhere near the top echelon of gear in this game. I've been playing a while, and my gear just isn't there. And that's just the reality you have to face when you're an F2P low spender playing raid, is that your gear is not going to be as good as the people that have bought a ton of gem packs and just farm every single day, Your gear is just not going to be as good. That's why you need to think about the game more in terms of thresholds rather than kind of like, I want to just smash this content, Because a lot of the times, like hard Doom Tower, there's really not a lot of replayability to it, like hard Doom Tower especially. I don't have a lot of replayability. I usually don't clear 120 over. I've only cleared all three hard Doom Tower 120 once each. The rest of the time I just do normal. So normal for me is a lot more convenient because I put it on auto and I just smash through it now. But at the same time, the reason why I came up with this team was because I looked at Dark Fae not as like the other versions of the Dark Fae comps, which is, okay, I gotta find a way to clear my guys and then keep Dark Fae's turn meter down, right? Because even at Dark Fae 40, you're gonna realize, oh no, let's go to Dark Fae normal 120. You're gonna realize that the decreased turn meter route of keeping Dark Fae down forever is really, really hard to do without allure. So with allure, it's definitely doable. Without allure, it's so hard, right? And I don't have allure, which is why allure is one of my #1 most wanted champs in my account. So I treated it like a third wave, basically. So it was a puzzle to solve as a third wave before I did the boss fight. So I'm treating the boss fight separately, like I'm not fighting the clones against the boss. I just needed to get through the clones a different way. And what I did was I controlled the clones with Vizix and Lady Kimmy. And you need to get lucky here, obviously. And then hopefully my Seer can take a turn. So that's it. That's why I had to bump Seer speed up, because I needed her to just take one turn with buffs up. And I could clear my whole clone squad. And then I can put on auto the rest of the way and just pick away at Dark Fae with the War Master procs, right? That's it. That's kind of my story. Hopefully you enjoyed this version of Raid Shadow Legends Hard Dark Fae Doom Tower 120, right? So the builds are all here. If you want to check out my other versions of Hard Doom Tower, my other previous builds will be on there. It's on the channel. Just search for it, the Besoul 13 Hard Doom Tower, right? See y'all next time.